Today, we're going to find out how far this updated Volvo XC40 Recharge Extended Range with the bigger 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack can go on a full charge of battery. The new MY24 XC40 Extended Range has a new and more efficient electric motor now connected to the rear wheels and not the front wheels as before. We're also going to see if we can reach that peak charging speed of 205 kilowatts and see how the rear-wheel drive XC40 compares to the rest of the competition. It's so nice being back in a car that has properly working and calibrated adaptive cruise control with auto steer. Just spent a little more than a week in the Hongqi EHS9 and it was annoying to use it on roads where you were behind a car, like this Tesla pulling in front of me now. You can see it, but it's going a little bit slower than me, so the car's going to start braking now, but this car is so smooth at that transition. You can even feather the throttle when you're driving on adaptive cruise control and get closer to the car in front of you as the car would let you on the adaptive cruise control. And once you can step up the throttle, the car is smooth about it. Here, changing lanes, just went into the right lane, slower moving car here, and then I move over. So this whole calibration just makes the driving experience so much smoother and better. Proper working auto steer, and this car does not slow down once you have a little bit of steering angle. So yeah, this is a huge difference in drivability, usability from an established brand like Volvo versus a new brand like some of the Chinese brands. Yes, Hongqi is a brand that has been around for a lot of years, but for the most of their existence, they've been making not a lot of cars and only like these high level luxury cars for Chinese officials. So they haven't been a proper mass market car manufacturer with mass appeal for many years. So again, Tesla pulling in front of me now. This car just so easily, just so seamlessly slows down. It doesn't just hop on the brakes like some of the Chinese cars I've driven. So with that being said, we are about 15 minutes into the trip and average consumption 25.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is quite high. This being the rear wheel drive version with a single motor, that is quite high, but also 1 degrees Celsius outside. I am running the cabin at around 20 degrees Celsius, but it's a little bit warm here with my, my jacket, so I turned it down to 19 degrees Celsius now. No heated seats on, and the heated steering wheel is set to on because I like when my my hands are warm. It is Friday today, so a little bit more traffic than usual as the 4-lane road, the motorway, now comes to an end and becomes a 2-lane like highway. But they're actually building the next section, so about 30-40 kilometers. It's going to be done in a few years, and maybe at that time EVs will have more range and will extend the test. But this route, which is 216 kilometers with our turning point here in Moelv by the Shell station here, makes this route 216 kilometers. So I think it's long enough, because sometimes in winter, which we are approaching, not all cars are able to complete this test. And talk about winter, it is 1 degrees Celsius outside. So that is pretty cold, pretty, much winter temperatures for a lot of places in Norway and also even around the world. So average consumption, 24.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Let's put on or press the trip computer information there. You can see in the left column there our information. So yeah, that's not very low, but again, low temperatures, 1 degree Celsius. This result here, today's results, cannot be compared with the C40 twin I drove about 3-4 weeks ago when the test was done in much milder temperatures. Back at our starting point, and what we're going to do now is that we're going to connect to the charger here and see what kind of charging speed we're actually going to get with passive heating of the battery. Just driving on a motorway for a few hours and then connecting to a charger without preconditioning the battery, which this car does have via the navigation system if you navigate to a charger. We do that test in a different video here on the channel, but today is all about that passive heating and what kind of charging speed you actually get. Connected now at 18% stated charge, and the speed picks up quite quickly. Look at the amperage, top to the left, peaks at 365 amps, and the voltage below 409 volts, 149 kilowatts, getting pretty decent speed, but then suddenly throttling. I don't know why the car throttled, maybe because of the battery temperature where the car was communicating, this is too much amperage, we gotta slow down because we can't take 149 kilowatts. This charger also 150 kilowatts charger, so we couldn't get more than that. The two other 225 kilowatt chargers were actually occupied, so the charging stabilizes at around 117 kilowatts. Before we jump into the results and I tell you guys the range I got out of this MY24 XC40, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Elton, which is the most awesome charging app if you live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark. And I'm actually taking this XC40 to Finland in a few weeks, driving through Sweden, and I can't wait to test the Elton charging app in Sweden and in Finland, because this one charging app lets you charge at almost all charge point operators in all of these countries. So one payment method, one charging interface, one app makes the whole charging experience and traveling with an electric car a lot simpler. So if you want to support the channel and you want the best charging app there is out there, go to the link in the description box down below and download the Elton charging app from there. Before we end today's video, let's take a look at the battery pack size, the consumption, and then calculate theoretical range. So this MY24 Volvo XC40 Recharge extended range has a usable battery capacity of 79 kilowatt hours. We take that number divided by the consumption, 24.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then subtract 3% in heat loss. We get a theoretical range under today's conditions of 309 kilometers, which on the surface actually isn't too bad considering it was very cold today, around 1 degree Celsius. It actually didn't change. We didn't have 0 degrees Celsius, we didn't have 2 degrees Celsius, it was 1 degree Celsius throughout the whole trip. Yes, conditions were actually pretty nice, a little bit of a weak headwind from the northeast on our way northward, and dry conditions. This car on 19-inch winter wheels, I was hoping for a little bit lower consumption than that 24.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, because that matches the Kia EV6 long range all-wheel drive, which we did in the wet under quite cold conditions also last year. But this car, because it has a bigger battery pack, gets more range, and that is the redeeming thing of this car. But I was hoping that the rear-wheel drive version would have lower consumption and better efficiency than it has. I don't think there actually is a huge difference now between the all-wheel drive version and the rear-wheel drive version, and that is testament to how efficient they made the all-wheel drive version. But I was still hoping for a bigger difference between the all-wheel drive version and the rear-wheel drive version. Granted, I haven't driven the XC40 all-wheel drive version now. I've only driven the C40 for the MY24, and that was done in warmer conditions. So it's hard to compare the results directly, but you can see that the consumption, even though it was cold, is actually pretty high. Will it get higher if it was a lot colder, maybe -10, maybe -20 degrees? Well, maybe we'll do this test again in winter when it gets really, really cold, but I don't think actually if it was snowy and icy that would have made much of a difference. I think the lower temperatures are more detriment to the consumption than even the wet or other surface. So guys, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Are you disappointed about the range and the efficiency of this, the MY24, the new updated rear-wheel drive version of the XC40, or do you still find it decent enough? I find it decent enough, but still a little bit disappointed. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.